Hello and welcome to yet another Barefoot shoe review. My name is Barefoot Will, and today we're going to be reviewing the Forza Runner from Xero Shoes. Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about aesthetic. Of course, this is going to make the first impression. How does the shoe look and how does it apply to, a fashionability standpoint? To me, it's a relatively average looking sneaker type shoe. I have gotten a few more compliments or questions about these shoes, and it kind of surprised me. Like I said, to me, it's a relatively normal looking sneaker, but to some it may have a little bit more of an aesthetic appeal. To me, these actually look relatively good with just like casual jeans, and of course they look pretty good in a gym setting as well. But they're not just the most sick looking barefoot shoe on the market, in my opinion. Aesthetics aside, let's talk a little bit about function of the shoe. So this shoe is marketed as a running shoe by Xero. And initially I was going to just make the review about the shoe without actually running in them, and I realized that was a mistake. But I typically just don't run in barefoot shoes. I like to run in something like an Ultra that has just a little bit more of a cushion sole to it to carry me a little bit further into distance. However, I did go ahead and test these while running, and to me, I really loved this shoe during treadmill runs. And the reason being for that is this shoe specifically, even though it is a barefoot shoe, it does have a little bit more of a softer sole to it. Now, it does have an insole that is removable, and it has a little bit of cushion to it. I mean, it's definitely not much, but the shoe itself, the sole just has a little bit more give cushion padding to it than some of the other barefoot shoes I tried. And when I initially put these on, that was something that surprised me. I really didn't expect that from Xero, but this was one of the first pair of Xeros that I tried. In comparison to something like a Vivo Promise Light or a Tolos, where you have a nice, really solid ground feel to it, this still does have a decent amount of ground feel, but it also provides a little bit of a cushion to break away that harsh concrete or rocky surface. What I immediately noticed when running on this shoe is that, of course, it requires a little bit more of a forefoot strike because of how anatomically aligned the shoe is. And it felt great to run at a little bit higher speeds. To me, my cadence increased a little bit. My comfort level with increasing my speed was actually surprisingly good. Even doing sprints in these shoes was actually quite pleasurable, simply because it is a really pliable, minimal shoe that just allows a little bit of protection to your foot when you're completing some sprints. So for that purpose, for running in these shoes, I think at short distances, these shoes are great. For anything longer than, let's just say like a 3-miler, where you're not pushing for speed, then I think this shoe would fit that category, but anything over that, you may want to look into something else. Another feature that I really like about this shoe is the sole. It has a little bit more grip to it than I initially thought. It's got a nice little bit of a deeper lug in comparison to most barefoot shoes, and I think the little bit of cushion and padding that is within the sole kind of does a good job of hiding the feel of those lugs beneath your foot. And to me, it provided some pretty good traction when I was doing some runs and in the gym. Of course, this shoe is going to come with all the similar perks that you would always see in a typical barefoot shoe, with the zero drop sole, a wide toe box, which I want to talk about just a little bit more. It is very pliable, very bendable, very minimal. But like I said, I want to talk about the toe box just a little bit more. To me, I was actually a little bit surprised with how narrow this toe box felt. Don't get me wrong. It's wide in comparison to most conventional shoes, but I did notice that the first 20 to 30 minutes of me wearing these shoes, it was a little bit noticeable on the ends of my toes, especially my big toe. Now, I have worn a different pair of Xero shoes, and I did not get that slight pinch sensation, but for this shoe specifically, I did. So if you're somebody that has a really wide toe splay like me, then this shoe may not be the most comfortable. However, after the first 20 to 30 minutes, my foot kind of got used to it. And then even when running, just having a little bit of that pinch of the toe in, I didn't really notice it. It actually felt quite good, like I was talking about earlier. One other slight downfall that I've noticed with this shoe and the other Xero shoe that I have is some aspects just feel a little bit cheap. Now, what I'm talking about mainly is like the lace quality. Although it's a very minor thing, to me, a lace is pretty important for the life of the shoe. And the laces do feel a little bit cheap. However, after using and abusing these for a few months now, there's been no wear and tear. They just kind of look cheap and feel cheap. Now, one huge perk of this shoe specifically is on Xero's website right now, you can get this shoe for right around 50 bucks. And to me, for a Barefoot shoe, that is an absolute steal. For 50 bucks, I would definitely recommend that. If you haven't yet, you should definitely try these out. So if you're watching this and we're still at the end of January, you can go ahead and use the affiliate link that I'm going to drop below to purchase your pair of Xero Forza trainers. I think will pay me a little bit of commission, and I would appreciate if you would use that. We'll see you guys on the next review.